You talk a lot about identities in the book,
Mhm.
and I really want you to explain what that is, and then I'd like to break some of that down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think setting goals is super important, but I have found that the goals almost become antagonistic as we live because it's like this thing that we haven't achieved yet. And so I'm like kind of a failure until I achieve that thing. I would argue it's a large reason why like New Year's resolutions don't really materialize after like week three, because it's like you're constantly fighting against this thing that you just can't quite get there yet until eventually maybe you do achieve it. The reason I focus pretty heavily on identity, not only in the book but in my coaching practice, is because as you define the kind of individual you want to become, all the goals kind of sort themselves out. As opposed to saying, I want to lose 30 pounds this year, shift the mindset to I am a healthy person. I am an active and physically fit person. Well, what does an active and physically fit person do? Well, they work out and they train their body. And then the weight just kind of is a side effect of that identity shift, as opposed to viewing yourself as like, well, I've never been able to stick to a diet or I've never been able to stick to a workout plan so far. Ignore all that. Say, all right, what kind of person do I want to be? And now let me try to behave like that identity that I've realigned myself to. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I really like that perspective. How would someone come up with an identity? Like, would you say create the goal first and then create the identity, create the identity? Like, how does one come up with one?
I found that creating identity first helps a great deal because the identity is like the foundation on which you stack all of your goals. And something I tell a lot of my clients is the identity ideally is kind of set in stone, and the goals can shift according to, opportunities that present themselves, or maybe those doors have closed and you have to shift your goals. The identity stays the same, the goals can shift around it. How do I go about teaching somebody to create an identity? This is the exercise I have them go through. As you know from the book, I break life down into 5 different categories: so mental, physical, emotional, social, and financial. Each of those could have subcategories to it, but I think those are the heavy hitters. And so I tell my clients, hey, picture yourself 5 years from now, and absolutely everything is perfect. Everything is exactly the way you want it. The relationships you have with your loved ones, your financial success or your bank account, your ability to be emotionally intelligent, your physical fitness level, everything is perfect. Now, as you envision that, and sometimes that is difficult for people, particularly if they've developed patterns that are less than excellent leading up till today. But I really encourage them to put on their like imagination cap and say, all right, imagine everything is perfect. Now, based on that vision, create present tense I am statements around those various categories. In the last episode, we talked about my physical identity, which is look good naked, be hard to kill. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what I am right now. It's something that I'm striving to be. And so what does somebody that is, physically fit and capable, what do they do on a daily basis? It helps me backwards plan. And you can do that with any of the categories, like the mental category. A lot of people talk about mental resilience. I tell them to create identity statements in the present tense, specifically so they can say them out loud to themselves over and over again. But like for mental, it's like I'm mentally resilient, or I am a constant learner. That's mine. It's like I want to seek out new information, new skill sets to help me become a jack of all trades.
I think what's really interesting too, I like how it's, you don't have to be that yet. It's like,
Right.
this is what I'm striving to be, which is really
Exactly.
important,
Right.
because that's what, keeps you going and also doesn't make you, or for myself anyway, when you think about how hard it might be to get there or all this other stuff, whereas like, no, it's just something that I'm striving to do. And every single day I'm getting there and I'm getting better and I'm moving forward in that direction. I think that's so important to understand and take on. And I
Right.
also like that there are different aspects for different people. For you, it's I'm a constant learner of life. And I think that's really interesting because it allows you to be open-minded. We have a guest coming on the show, Randy Weitenheimer, who trains special forces. And one of the things we talk about is mindset. And he talks about how it's an open or closed set. And if it's an open set, well, then you're open to everything. You can have conversations with people and all that stuff. Whereas you can also understand, like, if you're vegging out on the couch and you have that physical identity happening, you're like, it gets you to get up and move. It gets you more to go after who you want to be and strive to be versus I'm going to go to the gym today and then you just never go. I like that. And I like how you come to that conclusion. Now, can that just like I know goals you said can change around that identity, can the identity at all change? Like, what if someone's like, well, that sounds really good, I'm a constant learner, but also the other one sounds really good, or this, I don't know which one to pick. And then you don't
Sure.
pick.
Yeah, right, right. I'm always a little bit flexible with kind of my coaching plan. But I would say the identity should be almost vague enough where it can encapsulate all the goals that may be associated with that. So, like for mine, for example, like I am a constant learner. That's relatively vague. Like, what does that mean? Is like, am I learning about philosophy, or is it like workout routines, or is it how to fix my car? Like I haven't narrowed that down, but that's on purpose to allow for kind of like a broad scope of particular goals that may be associated with that. So, for example, I look good naked, I'm hard to kill. That's something I'm striving to be. Early on, one of my goals was like, I'll be a bodybuilder. Like, who doesn't want to be yoked, right? As I was kind of progressing through that, I realized like it kind of wasn't in alignment with what I wanted to become. And what I really want to become goal wise is just a well-rounded athlete. The ability to do, cardio, and the ability to, have decent mobility, but also be strong. So like I was able to shift my goal to better align with what my identity is that I'm striving for. And who knows, maybe in, 5 or 10 years, that goal may shift again. Maybe I want to be a professional frisbee player. Like you never know. The identity, I would say, have it pretty firm. Maybe not quite carved in stone, but pretty close.